Let's look at a very important concept with this topic. Let's look at agency. So
Mm.
let me read this real quick. If you can wrap your brain and spirit around the concept of agency in Scripture, this helps explain some of the most popular Trinity and oneness proof texts that they like to throw at you, and makes them easier to understand. Because a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, it's a mystery." Abba used angels and humans throughout Scripture as his agents. They walked in the authority that Yah gave them. And for anybody that's watched the Matrix series, which I'm not saying watch the new one, but I've watched the first original trilogy. This I got a play on Agent Smith being on here.
Yeah, I first when I saw that I said, The Matrix. Okay. Now I understand. It's Agent Smith.
Yeah,
I get it. Okay.
and every time I see that guy, I'm tempted to talk like he's like Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
So let's look at some agency verses. So the first one is Yeshua's own words, John 5:43. I've come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you would receive. So, I mean, it's pretty safe to say with this verse and others that Yeshua is an agent of Yahweh the Most High.
A Hebrew way of saying agency is the word shaliach. Shaliach. So if you talk to anybody in the Jewish faith and ask them what a shaliach is, they're pretty much talking about an agent, a representative, an ambassador, or a mouthpiece for another person. The rule of thumb in all of the Jewish writings for a shaliach is one who is sent is just as the same person as the one who sent him. And so I always think of in our today's culture a power of attorney. When a
Yep.
power of attorney comes in the name of someone, it's as if that person himself was there.
It's the most simplest terms is a spokeswoman or spokesman for somebody
Mhm.
when that person
And
is
if you
not
think
able to be
about,
there.
yeah, and if you think about the Tanakh, your eyes become open. You were like, oh my gosh, they're all shaliachs. Moses spoke on behalf of the Father. He said, go and speak to Pharaoh and, speak on my behalf. All the prophets, you know, you name it. So they're all shaliach. So Yeshua is the ultimate shaliach, the greatest shaliach.
Man, well said. So let's look at one. Let's look at one. We're gonna go back to the Torah and Old Testament in almost in the beginning, but Genesis chapter 22, 15 through 17. This is a really cool example. And the messenger of Yahweh called to Abraham a second time from the heavens and said, by myself I have sworn, declares Yahweh, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I shall certainly bless you, and I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and let your seed possess the gate of their enemies. So this one's really cool because the messenger was Yah's mouthpiece, an
Mm-hmm.
excellent example of agency in Scripture.
Yeah, and then you see that with the angel of Yahweh and anyone who's sent on the behalf of Yahweh. You will see that it will say an angel was in the burning bush, and then suddenly that angel is speaking in first person, like a mouthpiece for Yahweh to Moses.
Yeah, and definitely Moses was a big agent or a form of agency because the Father would speak to him, or messenger would speak to him, and then he would speak to all of Israel. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if we
And
sit
I
there and
guess,
just think for a few minutes, I mean, we can come up with a lot of examples.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And I always use the burning bush because when you read it carefully and slowly, I didn't notice this for years, but until I became a Unitarian, if you read that chapter, it says there was a burning bush and an angel appeared to Moses, and then he spoke in first person as Yahweh. And I know Trinitarians will say, well, that was the second person of the Trinity and so on. So, but yeah, agency is how you explain that. It's huge when it comes to the Unitarian faith.
Oh man. So what about a mediator? What is a mediator? So let's look at the when to look if you get on on ESORD or something like that, a scripture software, and you do research, this is the Strong's number for mediator. If you find it in the King James, so So it's G3316 for anybody that wants to look it up themselves. I highly recommend you test everything we're presenting for yourselves and take it to the Father in prayer as well. So it's G3316. Some of these Greek words. Masites from G3319, a go between. That is simply an internunciator. And it's fun if you look that word up. It has to do with Catholic Church and papacy, but we won't go into that. Or by implication, a reconciler. Come on, Matt, spit it out. Intercessor or mediator. And then Agent Smith's got Mr. Anderson, a mediator is an agent. Had to do the voice. Couldn't resist. So let's look at a couple of mediator verses. So you want to read these, brother? I don't know if you can see them on your phone.
Yeah, let's do this. A mediator, some verses for mediator is 1 Timothy 2:5, which I've mentioned. We mentioned in the first video. For there is one Elohim and one mediator between that one Elohim and man, the man, Messiah Yeshua. So it's differentiating and having a distinction between that one Elohim and the one mediator. It doesn't say that the mediator is part of that one Elohim.
And it's also Galatians, and it's calling him man too.
Exactly. Well. Exactly. And we know that Yahweh is not a man. Galatians 3, verse 19 and 20. Why then the Torah? It was added because of transgressions until the seed, singular, should come to whom the promise was made. And it was ordained through messengers in the hand of a mediator. The mediator, however, is not of one, but Elohim is one. So there's so many things in that one verse there, but I love how it mentions how there's messengers, which is another way of, you could say malak, angel. Yep. Also the seed. I mean, when you think of a seed, you think of descendants of humans. So he's a seed, i.e. he is a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And he's not a pre-existent angel that took on a human flesh, but he's the seed, a descendant of man.
And also it ends with Elohim as one. That's similar verbiage to what you see in the Shema and Deuteronomy 6:4 as well. So that's not.
And I know a lot of Trinitarians will say, well, one is a compound unity, and it could be a cluster of grapes or two people or three people. But the thing is, when you look at the Greek, I know a lot of people want to go to the Greek Septuagint nowadays. The Greek for one is heis, and it is literally one, as in one person, one individual. It's a strict one. So that's also something to look into.